Promotional consideration paid for by the following. The Ohio Neck and Back Pain Relief Center, Scott M. Gray, D.C., across from the Marion Center between TSC and Kroger. For further information, dial 740-386-6580. Also located on the net at goodbackbadback.com.
You know what the greatest thing is about the exchange with Scott Spears? Well, not only do they have Scott Spears, but they got all kinds of fabulous guests, too. So tune in. The exchange. Scott Spears. Right here. Hello there, Soup here. Say, if you want to be really entertained, just tune in to The Exchange, starring my good friend Scott Spears, here on this station.
Hey, Scott Spears along with you on a Tuesday edition of The Exchange here in the holiday season. Stockings hung on the brick wall behind us with Christmas lights everywhere, ornaments on the table. Hope you're having a great time out there doing your shopping, which maybe you'll go out and do before or after this program.
I like these little Christmas trees, aren't they? Something.
We got a green one down here, a red one over there. It is the clown is decorated over there.
Oh,
so you
I like that. You got that for $3?
$3. I picked that up at one of those stores.
How did you have to run? I mean,
no, I had to run pretty fast as I got out the door with it.
I like that.
It brightens up the
It
studio,
does, yeah.
I think. Do want to let everybody know that we do have a new sponsor here, SEW Pro Wrestling here in Marion. You can find them on the net, SEWProWrestling.net, Facebook, SEW Marion. Have an event coming up December the 17th. Tickets are $5 at the door, or bring 2 canned food items along with 2 boxed food items. All cash will be donated to the Boys and Girls Club of Marion. All food will be donated to the Victory Center Food Pantry. So that'll be coming up this Saturday, December the 17th. And then they'll have another program on January the 7th, $5. February the 4th, $5. All shows will be held at the Unkefer Union Hall, 675 Unkefer Avenue here in Marion. Ticket locations to get your tickets, Norris Grocery Store, which is over there by Unkefer Avenue, not on Unkefer, but over in that area. And their offices are located at 675 Unkefer Avenue here in Marion. So once again, if you want to get in touch with them, probably the best way will be through the internet, www.sewprowrestling.net, no spaces, SEW Marion on Facebook. Charlie, fascinating facts.
I thought when you mentioned bring food items, I thought it was to throw at the wrestlers.
I don't think they like that very much,
Probably
Charlie.
not. Well, yesterday I mentioned the snowy owl. Today I want to mention something that could be seen flying over the Marion area, and that's a sandhill crane. Now, the sandhill cranes left for Florida back in late November, and a lot of times they fly right over Marion County, a rather large group. Now, a sandhill crane has a long neck and red feathers on its head, and they fly rather gracefully. And I saw a squadron of them a few years ago going over on their migration pattern, and they end up, guess where?
Where do they end up?
Florida.
Ah,
yes.
like everybody else.
You just talk about, what do we call them, snowbirds?
Snowbirds.
Okay, well, these are real snowbirds. They end up about midway in Florida and then start back here in March.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah,
Not bad at all. That's for the birds.
It is.
Marianne, words of wisdom today.
Well, this week the theme is love, because love is essential to all of us, but especially around this time of year. And these words come from Mother Teresa. Let's concentrate on a worthwhile goal, that no child be unwanted and no person go unloved.
Oh, that's good. She was...
Oh, remarkable woman.
For all the years...
Remarkable. Well, she's a saint.
Yes, she
Isn't
was.
she a saint?
Yes, she was. And didn't ever accept anything.
No.
I mean, she was just that way. She became a big-time personality, though. God love her, and I think everybody will always remember her and associate her name with a lot of love.
True.
Yes. And she did so many things like that.
Oh, yes.
Mother Teresa, wonderful.
Solely dedicated.
I don't know where that came
people.
from in her psyche to do that.
You know, I've never read a biography of Mother Teresa. I think that's something we should all read.
Oh, I would love to read up on Mother Teresa. She was, you know, it's weird. She died the same time Princess Diana did. And it was kind of unique because if you remember, Mother Teresa's death was kind of overshadowed by everything going on with Princess Diana. But that's probably the way she would have had it.
And she would want it that way.
That's right, that not a big hoopla was made. But aside from the Pope, I think Mother Teresa goes down as big-time figure in that area. Yesterday we talked a little bit about shopping and Black Friday. There was a story I wanted to bring up that was crazy, so we're going to get into that today. A Black Friday shopper who collapsed while shopping at a Target store in West Virginia went almost unnoticed as customers continued to hunt for bargain deals. Walter Vance, a 61-year-old pharmacist who reportedly suffered from a prior heart condition, later died in the hospital, reports MSNBC. Witnesses say some shoppers ignored and even walked over the man's body as they continued to shop, reports the New York Daily News. Friends and co-workers saddened to learn of his death expressed outrage over the way he was treated by shoppers. Gawker points out that there is no legal obligation to come to someone's rescue, only a moral one. So these people cannot be charged with anything for walking over him.
Well, and you realize sometimes people are reluctant, although I think in this case they wanted to shop. But sometimes people are reluctant to help somebody because if they don't do the right thing, they could be sued, you know, in the end. I mean, I think that's one of the things that people are a little worried about. But I think the normal thing would be to help that person right away.
I think it would be normal to help them, but should there be some kind of obligation?
Well, no, I think that's right. It's a moral obligation. It's not certainly a law. And I can understand that.
Do you think if this person had stopped, if somebody would have stopped and not stepped over the guy, that maybe he wouldn't have passed away?
Yes, I think if immediate care was tried, you know, like trying to resuscitate, yes, I do think that. But who knows? We just don't know that.
Charlie, what do you think of this story?
Well, it sounds a little familiar. I was eating at a restaurant at a town just north of here, and when I went in there, there's a person lying on the floor. And oh boy, he must be really sick. So we all stepped over him, and every now and then we look back. Well, he's still there. Well, he was dead.
Where was this, Charlie?
It's just north of here.
You stepped over him?
Well, I had to. I couldn't get in the restaurant without.
Well, wasn't anybody there?
Well,
concerned
pretty
about
soon
it?
the squad came, yes. And,
So it was called.
Yeah. But I thought that was... But then I was in Baltimore a few years ago, and I had to step over all these men lying across the sidewalk. Of course, they weren't dead. They were drunk and homeless. But I thought, this is really something for a small town guy like me, walking over all these bodies.
Well, now let me back this up, because I understand the drunk and homeless. Sometimes you might have to walk over them.
Yes.
But usually you know they're drunk and homeless, unfortunately. But when you walked in this establishment and when you first walked in and looked at this guy as you were stepping over him, did you think ill?
Very ill, yes.
Okay. Now, at one point you were a volunteer fireman, right?
Right.
Okay. Did you have a twinge that maybe I'd say, how are you? Is there something I can do?
Well, I'd never seen him before, so I wasn't going to greet him, you know.
I'm not talking about greeting the man. I'm saying, do you need help?
Oh,
Yes.
sure. Yeah, but he was dead. How could I help
Did
him?
you know he was dead?
Oh, he wasn't moving. I thought he was dead or pretty sick.
But you didn't care. You just went right on and had
Oh,
your
yeah, I
meatloaf.
wanted to eat. I was hungry.
Holy moly.
Charlie.
Now, Marianne, if you were in that same situation, what would you do?
I would have called for help. I would have said, is something wrong with this man? Is there something we can do for him? You know,
But then everybody would have looked at you.
I wouldn't care. It wouldn't make
No,
any
if-
difference to me.
Now, wait a second. Now, if you're in a restaurant, say you're in a restaurant and you stand up and the guy grabs his shoulder and says, oh, I'm having pain, and now, wouldn't somebody say call 911 then?
Well, I did one time. Now, I was doing a broadcast in a local establishment in Marion, pushing pork. It was sponsored by the pork producers. And so this couple came in, and this lady proceeded to eat as many sandwiches as she could. They were free. But all of a sudden, one of them got caught in her throat. And we had to call the emergency squad. I thought, boy, what a show. Here we are promoting pork, and here's a lady choking to death on a pork sandwich.
But you can choke on anything, can't you, Charlie?
Well, yeah.
You should have done the Heimlich maneuver.
I never thought of that. I
Yeah,
don't
the
think the
Heimlich
Heimlich maneuver
maneuver.
was out then.
Oh, maybe that's possible.
Yeah, but that would have worked, I'm sure.
Yeah, but I think I would. Well, I think the Heimlich maneuver has been out for quite a while. I interviewed Dr. Heimlich once.
Oh, did you?
He lives in Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true, because I interviewed him once.
Yes.
That's interesting, because
Yes.
when I was in Dayton,
Sure,
at
sure.
the Dayton television
I guess
station.
I missed her. I've never interviewed
Yeah.
her.
Get his number. He's still
Yeah,
down
he
there.
was on the Phil Donahue show, and that was the station that I worked at, and so I interviewed him afterwards. Yes.
Henry Heimlich.
Well, my husband Ted, when he was the principal, it was at a basketball game, and he was standing around while the game was in. He saw this student up on the bleachers, and he saw that he was having problems, and he ran over there, and he gave him the Heimlich maneuver, and he spit up what it was that was in his throat. But the mother of the child thought he was being mean to her son, and she went up and she just said, "What are you doing to my son?" And he said, "Well, I think I saved his life."
Yeah, now, do you know the Heimlich maneuver, Marianne?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay, now
It's
show us
right
how you
under-
do it.
Well, I have to be behind a person.
But you put it here.
You put
Under
your
your
hand and you
ribs.
go
Under
like
your
this,
ribs.
and you go like that.
But you have to be careful about that because you can break a rib, right?
Well, that's true, but you need to get whatever is in the throat out, or that person, dire circumstances.
See, I'm really not just taking a counterpoint on this one. I really think these people, I understand it's a moral obligation, but if we're going to legislate everything else in this country,
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you see somebody step over a guy who's obviously having some kind of problem, I think you should be culpable in that, because what good are you as a human being? Nobody's saying you have to operate on the guy. Just call for help. Call 911.
Well, I certainly think it was a horrible thing to ignore that person. I definitely do, but I don't know that there should be a law.
Well,
I
There was at one point in one state, and I'm not sure if it's still there, but there was something called an innocent bystander law. That if you stood and
right.
you watched somebody get robbed or something, that they could arrest you for that and
wow.
prosecute you. Why would you stand and watch? See, how many
I
times-
wouldn't.
Well, how many times do we hear these stories coming out of big
Natural
cities?
curiosity. Standing and watching.
Yeah, it's natural curiosity,
Yeah.
but you think about this, and this is a big leap, but then again, it's really not if you think about it. Think about all these molestation cases that are coming out now,
my.
and what do we always hear? Somebody witnessed it.
Yes.
Somebody
didn't do
witnessed
anything
it
about it.
and didn't do anything about it. Now, we want these people's head on a plate because in our mind, molestation is horrible. And of course it is. But I guarantee you, to the friends and family of Walter Vance, death is death. You're not coming back from death. Why would they be silent? Why would the people step over him? Why would you watch a molestation and not say
Who
anything?
was Walter Vance?
The gentleman who died at Target
Oh, okay.
in West Virginia.
Oh.
Martha, we haven't
It's
asked you.
unconscionable, I think.
I think it is, and I think somebody needs to be held culpable. Martha, if you were in a store or a restaurant and you walked in and somebody was becoming ill and falling down on the floor, what would you do?
I'd call 911 immediately.
And then teach him to dance.
Yes.
Charlie, you're making light of this.
Electric slide.
That's it. That'd get him going.
Especially
That's
after
what
they get the defibrillators out and they get
Yeah,
electric
boy.
slide all over the place.
Boy, here we go.
Holy mackerel. So the rule is that you shouldn't help the person, I guess. Maybe you should, but if you don't, oh, it's
Well,
okay.
first
Got
of
any
all, I
other
think it
topics
would've-
today?
I
Boy,
I think it would have been very difficult to determine who did or who didn't, because people were rushing through, and so how could they pinpoint who was actually guilty?
Isn't that the money in society, though, that this happened on Black Friday? I think if this would have happened on Wednesday, it probably wouldn't have happened this way. People want that television for $100.
Oh, I've never shopped on Black Friday.
It's a
Never.
bad day. But you can do it from the internet now, so you won't have to get stepped on.
That's Cyber Monday.
Cyber Monday, which
Marilyn K. McBride left Marion, Ohio at 6 a.m. She took Luann's daughter, she took Brittany and Courtney, and they went to Polaris.
rough.
She came home and went to bed.
No, I can imagine.
Did she ask you to go, Martha?
No, she knew better.
There you go.
I'm not interested in that either.
Staying on the note of what might happen when we all pass away in this episode, Larry King, legendary broadcast figure, recently revealed in one of his specials on CNN, Dinner with the Kings, that that he's petrified of death, first of all, and that when he dies, he wants to be frozen, and he was absolutely serious. In 200 years, he said if they find a cure and can unfreeze him, he wants to come back.
How about if we take him to Alaska and shoot him?
And then just step over him. You're in a
so morbid this holiday season.
and here we are, this close to Christmas,
Yeah,
Charlie.
right. Oh.
What do you now? Some people say Walt Disney is frozen. Don't they? Was he frozen? Howard Hughes is supposed to be in a
Well,
wall
there are people,
somewhere.
it's called cryo something, isn't it?
Cryogenics.
Yeah, cryogenics. But
When they get the bill, they'll cry.
They'll be dead. What do they care? Bill my wife. That's what you do. Bill my
you
wife.
know what I think? I think when a person is older and they die, it's not so bad, but it's when young people die. That's tragic, I think. And, when you're a certain age and you're up in your 70s and 80s and 90s and so forth, you expect it, but it's tragic to have a young person die. I think that's terrible.
Well, here's something I don't understand about cryogenics is you can't, say somebody's in a car accident, shot, something like that. Now, you can't freeze them, right? Because
I don't know anything about that process.
there's something
Nor do
about
I
that,
care
isn't
to.
there? I mean, you have to die in like a special way. You have
All
to,
I know about cryogenics is those Dippin' Dots, ice cream.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
it's
Same thing.
For freeze dried.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Do you think Larry King's nuts for wanting to have this done?
No, it's his own. If that's what he wants, that's fine.
Well, would
to each his own.
Would you like to come back in 200 years?
No, not really.
Why not?
He probably wouldn't look better after 200 years, I can only imagine.
Well, but think he's going to be frozen at however old he is
He's
now.
very
and-
old right now.
Yes, and leaning over like he is.
No.
and He's going to come back like that.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe he
exactly.
just needed to be interesting for that interview.
that could be.
It made news. It made news. Martha, would you ever want to be frozen and brought back to life 200 years from now?
Well, if I could dance, yes.
Yeah.
If I could dance, I could do it.
You'd come back.
Yep.
What do you think the world will be like in 200
I'd like
years?
to do the Tennessee waltz with my husband.
Well, there you go.
Boy.
Well, it's very hard when you lose somebody, and sometimes maybe you want to have. What if your partner gets frozen if you don't want to get frozen? I always wonder about burial and cremation. What if the husband and wife can't get together on the decisions?
That's right, Scott.
Well, that all should be written down. You should write down. Oh, this is a morbid subject. I mean,
No, I
why
think
are
it's
we
okay.
talking about this?
Well, because Larry King wants to be frozen.
I know,
right.
but it's not a Christmassy topic.
Not
Scott.
for,
I'm sorry.
of course, you could buy Larry a brand new fur coat for Christmas.
Did you see that special he did, by the way? Did you see it? It was
No.
kind of unique. He had all these famous people like Conan O'Brien and Shaquille O'Neal and Tyra Banks and the guy who created Twitter. And they didn't really do interviews. They all sat at a dinner table and did like a dinner table conversation, like what's the last thing you think about before you go to bed, and who's your hero in life, or who did you take after. It was a very interesting...
That would be interesting. I like conversation.
Yeah, it was a very conversational thing, but Larry wants to be frozen, which I think is fine. I think, you know, did Walt Disney get frozen?
I think so, but the cost of keeping one frozen, terrible.
I think it's ridiculous.
Well, where did...
I love all of his suspenders. Don't he have a bunch of suspenders?
It keeps him in suspense.
It's very unique. Very, very unique. Today we will go into the mailbag to get off that interesting subject. This comes from Rhonda in Marion. Interesting. What is your favorite snack? Snack. What's your favorite snack, Charlie?
I was going to say ice cubes.
You like to chew on them. Don't choke on them because somebody will step over you.
Favorite
and just
snack?
keep on going. Favorite snack. What do you eat when you're hungry?
Oh, everything in sight. I mean...
You go to a buffet.
Well, you know, I kind of hesitate to go to buffets because usually when I go, I see what happens when you eat too much.
Was this place you went where you stepped over
No, that was not a buffet.
No, not a buffet.
No.
Well, see, they're not discouraged. What do you eat when you're really hungry?
I don't know.
Do you have any kind of snack?
I'm trying to think.
Think about it for a second.
I
Mary
don't
Ann?
need to think. I love ice cream.
Ice cream.
I love ice cream, and I also like salty potato chips and things like that.
Do you
They're, you know, and they're not necessarily that good for you, but I do like them.
I like Fritos and cheese curls and
Yes.
things like
Yeah.
that, yeah.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I think, you know what? I'm strange, though. I like vegetables with veggie dip cauliflower.
Oh, now see, you're smart.
Well, see, I like that, though. There's something
Well,
about that I
ve-
really
I
like.
vegetables too, but not for snacks.
Potato chips are okay, but only a very great while do I eat anything potato-y. I never liked mashed potatoes.
You know, I'm not a mashed potato person either, but I do like French fries.
I tell you, I do like pies. I like pies. I like pies better than I like cake. Do you have a favorite sweet, Charlie?
No.
No sweets?
Charlie's having a time.
It's a day for Charlie. Hopefully we're going to talk politics tomorrow. We're going to set aside tomorrow for politics.
Oh,
So
boy.
hopefully we'll be back because there's a lot going on there. Martha, what's your favorite snack?
Rice Krispies and marshmallows.
Ooh, that sounds good.
Oh, those are good.
Rice
And I
Krispies.
went to a shower yesterday down at Suzanne's house. Chandra's is having a baby. And Suzanne froze grapes, and I wished you to taste them.
Just frozen grapes.
Yes.
Kind of like frozen blueberries then.
They would be good.
I like that right out of the
That's
freezer.
Good.
Well, blueberries are the healthiest food
They
in the
are
world.
very-
One of the healthiest,
Very
yeah.
good
that
for
would
you.
be good too, wouldn't it?
They've
Yeah,
got
very
anti.
good.
You ever eat a frozen avocado? They're good for you too.
No, what is it?
Try carrots, they crunch in your mouth. Hey, let me tell you about
Go
carrots.
right ahead.
Those baby carrots you buy, they really aren't babies. Those were big carrots that were peeled down to look like baby carrots. And if you'll notice, in the center of those carrots you buy, so-called baby carrots, there's a hard core right in the middle of all of them, and that comes from age.
I don't like those.
No.
I just like regular.
Now, the real baby carrots, small, you'd pay twice as much if you could find them.
What do they do with the rest of the carrot?
They feed it to animals, I think.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah. But one carrot grower said he saved $400,000 a year by doing that. Instead of throwing away the oldies,
Oh,
peel them down.
That makes
Run them through a machine. Yeah.
Do they taste different if they're peeled down as opposed to being babies?
I don't think they
No.
taste as good.
The center is bitter, or that hard core in the center. No, they don't. They don't taste
People like to buy them because they're convenient.
Yes,
you don't
that's
have
it.
to take the skin off, and but they're not as. I don't think they're as good. I don't know about nutritional value. They probably have the same.
Out in the countryside, a lot of farmers are growing radishes in their fields this time of the year.
I never liked radishes.
Oh, I do.
That's
I love
one
radishes.
thing I never liked was
Yeah.
radishes. I thought they have kind of they have a weird taste to them, I think. Do you like radishes?
Not
Try
particularly.
my grapes.
Now, Martha, is it just grapes? Do you have to
Just plain grapes, frozen.
frozen? Huh.
It was delicious.
So she just put them in the freezer then?
Yes.
Fresh grapes and put them in the freezer?
Yes.
You know, you can take grapes, and if you put them with, what is that dip that people eat? It's kind of sweet tasting.
Well, you put something on them and then you put sugar over them.
Yeah.
And they're sugared.
But you can dump that in that little dip that's kind of got a little sweet. If you take cream cheese, but you got to sweeten it up a little bit. Cream cheese, if you, it is bitter. But I'll tell you something, for all the diabetics out there, and I know there's a lot of them, cream cheese, one of the best desserts can be made with cream cheese. All you do is take cream cheese and use your Splenda or your Equal just to get the bitterness out of it, and then bake that like you normally would a cheesecake. Once it sets, once it cools, even though you don't have the cookie crust, which would be against the diabetic, it tastes good. And you put whipped cream on it, which also doesn't have any sugar. Cool Whip, which also doesn't have any sugar. That is a great diabetic dessert. I used to make that a lot. I'm not diabetic, but it was a sugarless dessert.
Remind me not to try it.
Excuse me. We'll be back on Wednesday to talk politics, Newt Gingrich, Mitt Romney, Herman Cain, he's left the election. What will we do? We'll talk about it on Wednesday on The Exchange.